Now I'll demonstrate the Tascom Listen In feature. I'm doing it through the Tascom hosted system, and the listening needs to be done from one of the computers that you have that's already set up to be an operator workstation. So the VPN needs to be already connected and logged in like you normally do. And the XPro needs to be opened and either in the logged in enter phone number status or in the hung up status. And you can find out which status you're in once it's open by down here doing a show the phone. And if it's hung up, it would be in hung up if you had just been using this position as an operator and you logged off the operator program. It ends up in that hung up position. That's really okay. That's the same as it's saying logged in, enter phone number. It's kind of the same state. So you can hide that again. Doesn't really matter if your remote desktop session is connected or not. Mine still is, but as you can see, I'm logged off the operator program. So I'm going to use position 1 to do the listening. I'm not going to be working as an operator while I'm doing the listening. So I logged off the operator program, and I'm going to minimize my remote desktop session. And my XPro is open, and it's in hung up or logged in, enter phone number. So once those two conditions are met, then I go to the URL that you were given for Listen In. So I've already made a shortcut to that URL, so I'll just open up my Chrome web browser. And here's where I set to go to that URL, listen, and I'm site 1. My demo site is site 1. So when I go to that URL that you've been given, it comes to a page called Atom Listen, and it's blank except for you go over here to the sign in. And use the user ID and password that you've been given. For hosted sites, that is the same login and password that you use for position 1. Regardless of what position you're listening from, the user ID and password for Listen In is your position 1 login. For me, that's demo 1. I'm fix my typing. And the username and password are case sensitive. In this case, on the Listen In, it's case sensitive. So I'm going to sign in. When you first sign in, you're on the listeners page. This is where you establish the connection for your headset. So I'm the extension I want to be listening on or from is 101. I'm site 1, position 1. And I want to call that extension to connect my headset so that I can hear the operators. Okay, it connected my XPro, so I can hide the XPro like you normally do. All right, then to find out what operators I want to listen to, you go over to the operators tab or page. And right now, there's only one operator logged on. So it's Cerise, so I'll choose her. And if there were more operators, obviously they'd be listed here. So I chose Cerise, and this gives me some basic information about what call she's on at the time I clicked on her name. That's not going to refresh, so you really don't need to pay too much attention to this because, again, it's not going to refresh. What this is really you're just going to be listening. So I will click the Listen In button because that's who I want to listen into. And now in my headset, I can hear her talking. Now when you do listen in, you're actually like in a conference call. So I should have told you earlier to make sure that you mute your headset. Because you're actually it's like a three-way conference. You're in that call. So make sure you mute your headset or phone device, whatever you're using. Okay. When you're done listening, you just, to that operator, you hit the disconnect button. And then if you had other operators here, you could choose other operators and listen in to them. And when you don't want to listen to anyone else, when you're finished listening, it's really critical that you end your session in the correct way, which I'm going to show you now, or it would be possible to lock up that position number that you're using to listen from, like I'm listening on position 1. So I need to get off this listen in feature correctly so that I can go back and use position 1 to take calls from. So when you're done listening to everybody, when you want to end that session, you have to go back to your Listeners tab. And you want to disconnect that listen-in session. And once that is back to call, you know that this is no longer connected. Then you can just close your web browser. And when I hit that disconnect, if you want to just go down and confirm with your X-Pro that it is in the hung up state. That will be fine for you for hosted sites. If you then want to go back to working as an operator, you can just do your remote session and log on to the operator program. And back to connected. So the exact steps for a premise-based site, you wouldn't have all of the VPN and the X-Pro and the remote desktop session. You'll get instructions on what extension number to put in when you go to the web browser. You'll be told after you sign in. Let me just sign back in. Oop, make sure it's caps, so let me just pick it. For premise sites, you'll be told what extension to put in, and then when you do call, if you're using a phone instead of a headset, if you're using like a desk phone or something, when you call it, that extension number is going to ring and you'll answer it. So you'll get instructions from your supervisors or techs on how what phone device you'll be using and how to make that call for premise sites. So that's listen in. I will log off and close my web browser.